Miss Sonia, is she here? Okay. Okay, so we'll start right now. So you can go to the code.org website and create a code.org account and then join our class. So if you've already done that, could you type in yes in the chat? Okay, and if you haven't, just do that really quick right now, and then we'll give 2 minutes. So that's a link to code.org. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to the next slide.
Okay, so we're going to be doing lessons from different parts of the Express course.
Can we go back to the login? I still need the code.
I typed the code in the chat. So if you open the chat, the section code is over there. Do you see? Okay, we'll continue.
So like I said, we're going to be doing different lessons from the Express course.
Wait, actually, let's go to the previous slide, the login one. Okay, so you just go to the link and create an account and then enter the section code. Section code is in the chat. Okay, I'm going to go to code.org to see who's joined.
So has everyone joined?
If you haven't, type no in the chat. Okay, we're going to move on.
So the first lesson we're going to do is called Snowflakes with Anna and Elsa. And we're going to use this lesson to teach you guys what a loop is. So essentially a loop is the action of doing something over and over again. And we're going to put this to practice by clicking on Lesson 9, Part 3. So to show you guys, if you go to code.org, scroll to Lesson 9, Part 3, and click on it. And you should see this on your screen. So once you see this on your screen, your goal is to turn this code into a snowflake. So the main goal of this is to use a repeat loop and run it a total of 6 times. And to do this, you only need to add one block. So we're going to give you guys a few minutes to find that block, add it, test your code by hitting run, and seeing what happens to Elsa. And if you have any questions, you can always type it in the chat.
Or mute yourself. Okay, someone finished. If you finish, you can go to the next activity. Could you go to the slides out? So if you finished Anna and Elsa, you can go to lesson 11, part 6, and start doing the exercise on conditionals.
So when everyone finishes lesson 9, part 3, could you guys write a yes in the chat?
Okay, we're gonna give 2 more minutes on this activity. Okay, they want us to go through lesson 9, part 3. So we'll show them the answer.
Basically, what you had to do was use a repeat loop and put all of this code inside the repeat loop. And you had to repeat all of this code 6 times. And to know why it's 6 times, you would have to run the code and test it out yourself. So if you hit 6 times and then click on run, she repeats the same loop 6 times and then completes the snowflake. So anyone have any questions about that?
Okay, I'll go to the next lesson, which is on conditionals. So conditionals are statements that only run under certain conditions. So if this happens, you do this. So let's go to lesson 11, part 6. And we'll give around 10 minutes for this one. Okay, if you're done, move on to lesson 16, part 8. Oh, and once you're done, type yes in the chat.
And once again, if you guys have any questions, please ask them in the chat.
Yeah, or you could unmute yourself. Okay, Eugene, you can move on to the next one, which is lesson 20, part 5. If you're done, type yes in the chat. Okay, we'll give around 5 more minutes. Oh, and anyone who's finished, you can go to lesson 16, part 8. Oh, sorry, that was for Jerry. Okay, we're gonna go over the answer in like minute.
What should you do if you're done with 16.8?
Once you're done with 16 part 8, you can move on to lesson 20 part 5.
Okay, let's go over the answer for lesson, what is it? 11. You can click see a solution. So that's the answer for lesson 11. You would make a loop, inside a loop, and and the small loop, you loop it 6 times, and then you loop that twice. So then it's so the first time it loops through the small loop 6 times, and then the other actions, and then it would repeat the whole thing again. So any questions on this one?
So basically this would be a nested loop because it's a loop inside another loop, basically.
Yeah. So if there aren't any questions, we'll move on to the next lesson.
So next we're going to be focusing on functions in Minecraft. And a function is basically a piece of code that you can call over and over again. And the reason why we use functions is for the programmer's ease. Is if you have one piece of code which you can refer to over and over again, it simplifies the whole process and you can condense a bunch of statements into one piece of code. So to get some practice on functions, we're going to click on lesson 16, part 8. So it's up to you if you want to watch the video or not. You don't really have to watch it. So like I said, the whole point of functions is to condense your code so it's easier to work with. So this is exactly what this chat box says. It says that this little instruction tells the computer to run the big chunk of code with the same name in the workspace. So that big chunk of code is basically this. This is the function, and this is the condensed code for that function.
Yeah, and so by writing that code inside the function, next time when you need to build a bridge, you can just use the function instead of writing all the code out.
Exactly.
Okay, I think this one wouldn't take too long.
Yeah.
So we'll give about 3 minutes.
And make sure to type yes in the chat once you finish this.
I think we're good. Is everyone done? Anyone?
No,
No? Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think 4 more people still need to finish.
Okay, okay, okay.
what do you do when you're done?
So when you're done with this, you can move on to lesson 20, part 5, if you haven't done that already.
Yeah. Are we all done with this Minecraft one?
What do you do after 20.5?
After 20.5, it's 22.7. So lesson 22, part 7.
So if you're not done yet, that's okay. I'm just gonna go through and walk through it right now. So like I said, this is a function, and in the instructions they say to snap the small green build bridge function block into your workspace twice to fix the path and get Steve to the redstone torch. So all you have to do is snap this build bridge function on twice, and it'll repeat all of these actions twice. So if you click run, So now Steve, which is this character right here, has a path to go to the redstone torch. So then what you do after that is you just drag him along, and eventually he'll reach the redstone torch.
Okay, now lesson 20 part 5. So if you're done with that, type yes in the chat. And this one, it's about variables. So variable is a label for a value, and this variable, the number or letters stored in this variable can change. So yeah, that's what a variable is. And we'll go to the lesson.
Is it part 5 or 6?
5. Okay, so try this one.
So for this, you're gonna have to click on each of the blocks and just see what each of them do, and navigate your code accordingly.
What if you're done?
Did someone have a question or no?
Yeah, so if you're done, you can go ahead and make a Scratch account if you haven't done that already.
Yeah, and yeah, make sure you do 22.72. So once you make a Scratch account, you can play around with the blocks in Scratch. And for Scratch, you can choose your own sprite and the background. So try that. We'll give like 3 more minutes for this one.
Does anyone need help or have any questions?
Make sure you're on lesson 20, not 19.
What's the Scratch website again? What should you Google?
So just type in scratch.mit.edu. And I think Lauren has already put that in the chat, right?
Oh, I haven't. I did for code.org. I'll do.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I have. Okay, is everyone done with lesson 20? We'll give two more minutes for that. So are you guys done with this one? We'll just go over the solution for this one. Yeah, so basically you create a variable called gather, and you you set that variable to 1 at first, and then every time you loops through the loop under that, it adds 1 to it. So the first time you loop, it goes from 1, and then it loops through the loop, and then it adds to 2. And then the next time it adds to 3. So it's a variable you can change the number stored inside. And for collect row, that's a function you create. So everything inside of collect row is what you do, what the computer runs when you tell it to collect row. So then next time you need to collect row, you just use the same function and you won't have to type out all the code inside. So this one you created a variable and a function. So any questions on this one?
Yeah.
I think this one's a little bit harder than the previous ones.
Yeah. And I noticed that a lot of people haven't finished this yet, but do you guys at least understand how to do this? Or do you still need
Or
help?
we could give you guys more time to try it out. Like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, let's move on to the next lesson, which is lesson 22.
Yeah, so the next lesson is lesson 22, part 7, and this is about for loops. So for loops are basically loops that have a predetermined or preset beginning and end and increment, which is basically an interval. So if you go to lesson 22, part 7, yeah, so it says you can also use a for loop to count down, and the goal for this lesson is to gather the nectar by counting down from 5 to 1 in increments of 1. So 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, and 2 to 1. So let's see if you guys can do this.
I'll give you guys around 10 minutes for this one.
What if you've also worked on Scratch and you're done with everything?
You're done with everything. What's your name on code.org?
I haven't done the last one.
Okay. And you haven't done lesson 22? You should finish lesson 22, part 7 before.
22.7. Lesson 22.7.
Yeah, have you done that? Have you finished lesson 22,
Okay,
part 7?
wait, are you supposed to have a total of 7?
No, just 1.
No, I mean on the viewing board.
Wait, what do you mean? Adam?
You're projecting the 7 score. What does that mean? Does that mean you're finished with 7? It's
If the 7 is shaded, that means you finished it. If it has a green outline around it, that means you started it, but you haven't finished it yet.
So right now we have, what, 1, 2?
Well, yeah, we have 1 completely done.
Please let us know if you're stuck so we can help you on it. We're gonna go over the solution in like 2 minutes. Okay, let's go over the answer for this one. Okay, so this one we use a for loop.
Yes, so basically you would use a for loop and count down from 5 to 1. So for every iteration, the bee would move forward, and depending on the number of times you were at, so if the counter was at 1, for 5 times it would get the nectar. And this makes sense because the nectar start at 5 and they decrease to 1. So which is why the counter decreases from 5 to 1 and also has a count of 1. So it decrements by 1 for every loop. And if you run that,
Okay, so the first time you run it, the count is at 5. Count is at 5, so then you would loop this 5 times. So you gather like the 5. You like be able to get all 5. And then the next time you run it, each time you run the for loop, you decrease by 1. So the next time you get 4. And so you repeat this loop here by 4. So this counter becomes 4. And then you just go on like that, and then you'll be able to get all of these flowers. So that's how a for loop works. Okay, I'll erase mine. Okay, any questions on for loops or on this activity? Okay, no questions, then we'll move on to Scratch projects. Okay, so if you haven't done this already, you go to Scratch, and the link is in the chat, I think. The link is in the chat. Okay, go to Scratch and then create an account or sign into your your account and then click create. So then we create a new project and you can name the project if you want. So type yes in the chat if you do this. Okay, we're going to move on to talking about projects.
Yeah.
So you'll have like 5 projects or like 4 projects to choose from, and then we'll work on these projects, and maybe if you finish today, you can present to the rest of the group.
Okay. So the first project is for beginners, and it's the Google logo project. So the goal of this is to let you customize your very own Google logo. So to do this, just have to go to bit.ly/coding basics, and I think Warren can type that in the chat. Right? So once you go to that link, you just have to click on Starter Project on the right side, and then click Remix, and then make sure you're on the Code tab. So let me just show that. So you go to bit.ly/coding basics. Scroll down, click on Starter Project over here. Click on Remix. And then you can change the name to whatever you would like. And make sure on the Code tab, and then you can use any of these coding blocks. You can change to look, sound, events, etc. And you can customize your very own Google logo. And you have an account. I'm guessing you guys made an account, so then you can save this to your account once you get there. So the next project we have is another beginner project. It's called the Adventure Project, and the goal is to create your own adventure game with Scratch.
Okay, so for this one, you create a storyline, and the user can choose their own path, and then it leads to a different story. So if you click into the link, could you play the game to show them? Yeah. Okay.
What do you want for Christmas, Bob?
So then you can.
So then you just type in the text box. You could say like a ball.
Remember, you need to be a good cat if you want presents.
Okay, I'll be a good cat.
And then.
Should I be a good cat or a bad cat?
So then if you choose to be a good cat, it'll lead to a story. And if you choose to be a bad cat, it'll lead to a different story. So that's how the adventure game works. And you can click see inside. To see a sample of the code. So we're going to leave the link below. So if you decide to choose if you decide to do the adventure game project, you can reference the code here. So basically you let your sprite say whatever the question is, and then you let the user input, and then based on that input, it'll lead to different storylines. So that's how the game works. And then the next project.
So the next project is not exactly for beginners, it's more for the intermediate level. and it's called the Asteroid Dash project, and the description for this is to basically create your own Asteroid Dash project using Scratch. So for this, you can, like the adventure game, you can create your own background, sprite, obstacle, star. For this one, you would also code your own obstacle and make sure you can spawn clone at random times. And for the clone, you should make sure to point at a random direction and also create a variable which we've discussed called speed, which is random and it's moving until it touches the edge. And to code your sprite, go to controls, create a variable and name it score. And if it's touching the obstacle, then the game is over. And to code your star, you should just spawn your clone at random times. And once again, for your clone, you should point it at random directions, have a random size, and have it move until it touches the edge. So here's an example. So you click the green flag to start, and use the arrow keys to move your spaceship left and right, and you should avoid trying to get hit by asteroids. So move. Ah, game over. I died. I got hit by an asteroid.
Okay, and let's see the code inside. So this is a code for the star. So you have to code the star you have to code it to clone itself every like second or so, and then it'll like disperse stars. And then for the stars, you want it to disappear every time you hit the border. So that's the code for the star. And if you click Asteroid on the sprite over there, yeah, and that's the code for your sprite that you're trying to control. So then you'll code it to go in a circle because the stars are going out, so it makes more sense to code in the circle. And you'll code it like for this one, it says every time you like click the right arrow, it goes to the right. Every time you do the left one, it goes to the right. It goes to the left. So that's how you code your Astro Dash game. And for the next one, it's more advanced. It's a Flappy Bird project. So you code a Flappy Bird game. So first you choose a background, a sprite, and an obstacle. So in Flappy Bird, it's the sprite is a bird, right? And the obstacle is like green like cylinder stuff. Yeah. And then you create a score variable that keeps track of your score. So and then you can code your sprite to have gravity, and every time it touches the obstacle, the game is over. So for gravity, you can the reason why we want gravity because the sprite is dropping every time you as the game goes on. So you have to keep the sprite up. You have to control its motion, and that's why we coded gravity. And then for the obstacle, we have to have the obstacle like clone itself every time. So as you move forward, the obstacle changes in position, and we'll see the game. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you touch the obstacle, it's game over. And this is a Flappy Bird game, and we'll see the code inside. And for this one, you can see, this is a code for the sprite, right? And you can see how it says, where does it say that? Like, forever change by negative y, and that's the axis, the gravity. that pulls it down. Yeah, over there. Forever change by -3. And that's the gravity that pulls it down. So when you don't press the key, it'll drop. So then you have to press it to keep it up. And let's see the code for the obstacle. Yeah, for this one, you have to make a clone each time. So so it looks like the Flappy Bird is going forward. So then you just code the obstacle to clone itself and move in position to make it seem like the Flappy Bird is moving forward. And you don't have to use the same sprite and obstacle. You could choose your own. Yeah, so let's go to the next slide. So here are all the project choices, and you could choose one to work on for today. So type in the chat which one you're interested in doing. Okay, so for whichever project you want to do, you can click onto the link I sent in the chat. So if you want to do the Google logo one, it's the first link, and the Flappy Bird is the last one.
And if you need me to go back and show you the instructions on the slide, you can just type in chat, or you can type it to me privately. It's up to you.
Yeah. Could you guys let us know which project you're doing, or just type in the